Listen in.
1,000 plus men and women of LMPD to work with my administration, me, and people all across our entire community to make Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier city. I promised earlier that I would name a permanent chief by the end of July. It's time to do just that. The decision has been a long time coming. From well before I was sworn in on January 2nd, I knew that this would be one of the most important hires I would make as mayor, and one of the most important decisions I would make during my first year in office. That's because lives depend on this hire, on this leader's experience, perspective, integrity, and judgment. That's true of any police chief in any city at any time. But it's especially true in Louisville, right now. Maybe more than at any time in the history of our city. And that's the reason that even though this decision is mine alone to make, I relied on an enormous amount of public input before making this decision. Now it's time to provide the people of Louisville and all of our police officers with clarity, certainty, and the stability they need and deserve about who will lead our city's work to improve and reform LMPD. This is a big job. This is a challenging job. And over the last few months, it's become very clear that the best person to do this work is already on the job. And so I am so excited to announce that our chief of the Louisville Metro Police Department is and will continue to be Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel. Chief Gwynn Villaroel is the right person because of who she is and how she leads. I've seen that every single day during the 6.5 months since the day we were both sworn in. And it's not just me. I talk with police officers every single day, and they see in this chief what I see: a caring and determined leader who supports them, treats them with fairness, and will also hold them accountable to the community that we all serve. She handles the toughest moments with grace and poise and determination. The entire world saw that in the leadership she showed in public after the tragic mass shooting on April 10th. That same day, in the privacy of a room at University Hospital, I saw her show tremendous compassion. During that day, Chief and I had the unfortunate responsibility of having to tell Mrs. Tutt that her husband had just been murdered. And in the seconds after we delivered that horrible news, Chief Gwynn Villaroel was there to provide compassion and support and love and a mutual sense of understanding as best anyone can in that horrible time. I called Ms. Tutt yesterday to ask if it was okay to recount this private moment during this public announcement. And she wanted to be sure that I let the chief know and I let everyone know that in that moment, she felt an amazing connection with the chief. And even though they'd never met before, felt what a warm, caring, concerned, compassionate person she was. Chief, she asked me to tell you that she loves you from that encounter and what you did to help her in that most difficult moment of her life. And I could give you many more examples than one from that horrible day on April 10th. Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel's courage, vision, and resilience are authentic and hard-earned. She has more than a quarter-century experience working as a police officer. She's also an ordained pastor, and she knows firsthand the pain that gun violence causes, the same pain that far too many Louisville families know all too well. That's because last fall, she and her family grieved and mourned the murder of her 25-year-old nephew. That personal heartbreak is part of what helps her understand that public safety is about preserving life and preventing tragedies. And look at what she's shown all of us as interim chief. She's embraced the opportunity to reform and improve LMPD, to provide more accountability and strengthen the relationship between police officers and the community that we all serve. She's committed to the faster release of officers' body cam footage following an officer-involved incident and has delivered on that. She's led the discussions to ensure we have a memorandum of understanding to fully cooperate with the Office of Inspector General. She supports the many major reforms and historic investments my administration is making to improve the handling and processing of open records requests. Chief Gwynne Biller-O'Ell also joined us in asking the Department of Justice to release more information about the incidents of police conduct identified in the report that they released in February. And she is firmly committed to working with the Department of Justice to implement reforms and improvements of LMPD. For these reasons and many more, I asked her to serve as our Chief of Police, and I believe our community is incredibly fortunate that she has agreed to do so. I'm really looking forward to continue working with her. And I understand that one question people might have is, if Chief Gwynne Biller-O'Ell got the job, why did you go through a national search process? And the answer is simple: because we had to get this right. Think about everything our city needs from our Chief of Police. We need a leader who understands the urgent need to reduce gun violence and homicides, prevent violent crimes whenever possible, communicate effectively and build trust with the community, lead our current officers, recruit and train a new generation of officers the right way, which is also part of this chief's background, take on the challenges of staffing and retention while improving the culture of LMPD, putting necessary reforms into place, and also implementing the terms of a consent decree once that is negotiated with the Department of Justice. And that's not even everything, but that gives you an idea of the challenge and the opportunities that this job offers. Like the opportunity to create a better future for this department and the nearly 800,000 people who depend on LMPD every day. With that in mind, to set the terms and expectations for this hire, we turned to the people of Louisville. We conducted virtual town halls where people could let us know what they wanted in a chief of police. We conducted focus groups with members of our community and from across the entire city. We launched a survey that received more than 1,200 responses. What we heard over and over and over again was the people of Louisville want a leader who focuses on reducing crime while promoting community safety and operating a department with honesty and integrity. And finally, we brought together a distinguished advisory committee to conduct interviews of the finalists along with me to help inform my decision. And we did everything we could to attract the best and most diverse pool of candidates from around the country. We did all of that and more to make sure that we found the right person to serve our city and lead LMPD into the future. And I am confident that we have found that person. I'm so proud to say that Chief Gwynne Biller-O'Ell accepted my offer to be Chief of Louisville Metro Police Department. Again, Chief, thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you to serve our city together in the many years to come. Congratulations. There's much work to do. You'll hear from the Chief in a moment. But first, we wanted to also introduce two members of the advisory committee that interviewed some of the other finalists for this position. So first, I want to introduce an amazing public servant, someone that serves her district and the entire city of Louisville every day with energy, conviction, creativity, and a commitment to do the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Councilmember Paula McCraney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor stated, I'm Paula McCraney, and I represent the Metro Council in District 7. This committee spent the past few weeks thoroughly vetting and interviewing each of the finalists. We asked them about their professional and personal backgrounds, their strengths, and their weaknesses. And we also asked about their career goals and their aspirations. We knew how important this search was, and so we know how important this job is for the future of our city, and we took it seriously. It was a true honor to serve on this committee, and I stand before you today to say that we believe that Chief Gwen Villarroel is the best person to lead our city forward. It was clear, at least to me, and I believe to all of us on the advisory committee, that Chief Gwen Villarroel stood out among all the finalists. She was knowledgeable, she's experienced, and she has charisma as a leader. As a chief, she's compassionate, intelligent, and decisive. She has her officers' back. I've seen it time and time again, but she also holds them accountable. That I've seen as well. I've gotten to know the chief on a personal level, and I know her to be a profound individual, someone with integrity, someone who has shown leadership in personal responsibilities and in serving this community. She's a great human being. Now, the historical value of choosing her does not get lost on me. She is the second African American to hold the position as police chief, but she is the first to hold it as a permanent job. And I salute her, and I thank her for accepting the offer, and I pray with her as she leads this city forward. Our police department can only be as great as its leader, and I believe this choice lets us know that we're going to have, and we already have, but it's going to be a better LMPD. Our leader will make sure of that. I'm proud of this choice, and I hope and I invite the community to work with us to help her succeed and help LMPD succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman McCraney. And next is another individual that has been through personal heartbreak of her own and is also working to help support the hardworking members of LMPD every day through the Louisville Police Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of the Louisville Police Foundation, Rebecca Grignon-Reeker.
Thank you all so much. It is indeed a privilege to serve our officers. They are a great group, and we were very excited to be included on the committee. Something that really stood out to me during this process was how much we see things the same, how much we want a safer Louisville, how much we want a great police department. And in interviewing all of these candidates, Jackie really stood out. And Jackie was the one who was going to lead us into the next stage of our city. And I am so excited to see with the Wellness Center and with the community engagement what we are going to do and how Jackie is going to make a difference. We all want the same thing. We all want a safer Louisville. Now we all just need to stand together and support her, support Peter's amazing brothers and sisters on the LMPD, and make this the best community to live in ever. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And finally, for the main event, ladies and gentlemen, LMPD's Chief of Police, Jacqueline Gwen Villarroel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, this is a great day for our city. To Mayor Greenberg, to the deputy mayors, to the administration, to our elected officials who are present with us today, to all of the media outlets, to the community, to the men and women, both sworn professional staff members of LMPD, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to stand before you today and be able to accept the position as the permanent chief. I want to say that when I arrived here in 2021, as I said it before, that I was embraced with open arms. I was embraced as the deputy chief, wanting and desiring for change to take place within the department. And as the permanent chief, I would like to say that that welcoming spirit has just continued to be overwhelming. And I appreciate every individual within this great city for allowing Jackie to be able to lead in the capacity that I serve today. I stand here today on the shoulders of so many who paved the way for me and opened the doors. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge two individuals who opened those doors for me and paved the way, none other than the late Reverend Macon Gwynn Sr. and my mother, Mrs. Betty Davis Gwynn. They are the ones that showed me how to lead. They're the ones that embraced me. They're the ones that allowed me to be me and to flourish without hindering who I was and what I was able to stand for and to do. And because of them, I am now the permanent chief of LMPD. I acknowledge the hard work that the community is doing every day to help us to bridge that gap of mistrust. And I'm solely, truly committed that LMPD will continue to build upon those platforms that we've already started. But we need your help, and we're going to ask and be intentional about what we do on an everyday basis. This agency will continue to strive and to reach out to those individuals that sometimes are still on that line and that cuff, so they just don't know and they're just uncertain. But it's our job in order to make sure that we bridge those relationships by opening the door. The doors are open. I will be reaching out to many of our stakeholders within the community, to our members of the clergy, to, again, NAACP and Urban League, ACLU, Mothers of Murdered Sons, our council members and other organizations, in order to see how we are able to do the work that we are called to do better, and to make sure that we always do it with excellence and professionalism, because that is what the citizens of Louisville deserve. We will continue to have those critical and crucial conversations and not shy away from those feelings that are of uncertainty, but actually build upon those, because those are the platforms in which we can now move aggressively into which we call community policing. That's what you will see. I remain focused on my top priorities: addressing violent crime, rebuilding community trust, and establishing clear guidelines on how we police. Recruitment and intention are always a front of mind, and then leveraging technology to assist in our effective policing efforts. To my LMPD family, you have stability now through this announcement, but I must acknowledge you kept doing the job even when you were uncertain as to who was going to be your leader. You didn't stop. The citizens need to know that you still went and answered the call. They need to know that you still responded in a manner in which I expected you to, even though my title had interim. That speaks volumes as to who we are as an agency and what we are able to do. So again, I applaud you and I say thank you. I thank you to all and everybody that has supported. And Mayor Greenberg, I want to acknowledge you for taking a leap of faith on this individual, me, that came here that you knew nothing about, but you took a leap of faith to allow me to lead, and you saw my leadership abilities, and you said, go forth, Jackie. I acknowledge that. But also, too, I want to make sure I state the record and make it sure it's clear as well. I am so grateful that Mayor Greenberg did the search. I'm so grateful that he did the search, because now we understand that the search is now over, because now I stand as your permanent chief. So I thank you for that. I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for allowing us to be greater than what we were before. And to my husband, and to my loving son and family members, I appreciate you for allowing me to be who I have been called to do and to be by the grace of the Almighty God. And that is my calling, to serve and protect those who cannot take care of themselves and who need my service. Thank you for allowing me to do what I know that I need to do for the great citizens of Louisville. God bless each and every one of you, and let's continue to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief, and we are happy to take some questions from members of the media. Mark?
Are there some things that you found difficult to do as interim chief that you'll now be able to do better or maybe do completely?
That is such a great question. And no, because the mayor fully supported me being the chief. He fully gave me the opportunity to lead the department without any restraints. So with that, that was over half the battle. And so that's why I was able to continue to move the department forward and to create new initiatives and to continue to move forward with reforms, because he says, you have full authority to operate as the chief, and he expected me to do so. Yes, sir.
Chief, could you kind of explain and talk to people who are outside this building? There are so many opinions and voices swirling across the city, but could you speak directly to every single person in Metro Louisville that you and the department are sworn to?
Yeah, so the message is, allow us to serve you. Allow us to do what we need to do for you and that we want to do. And again, we understand that we are human and we're going to make those mistakes. I've said that before. But as we err and we get it right and we make our corrections, we understand that we got to continue to work on those relationships and build upon that community trust that we're just every day working on. But I just want to let you know that we are invested in making sure that we get it right. And every day we want to get it right. You deserve, Louisville, you deserve to have protection. You require it. You deserve that. And LMPD, we're committed in order to make sure that happens.
Chief, I'm curious. Right as you got into the position as interim, that was about 6 months ago.
Yes, sir.
Now that you're the permanent chief, are we going to see a different version of you? Or are you not going to hold back anymore? Is this going to be a different version?
I was hoping I wasn't fake. No. So, no, sir, we're going to continue to move forward. This is me. And I also, too, I had that very transparent conversation with Mayor Greenberg. I said, this is me, and you must make the best sound decision of who you need to be your police chief. And so this is Jackie. The title had nothing to do with it, because the men and women over there, they needed to know who their leader was, whether I had interim in front of my name and or not.
Chief, I'm just curious, did you speak with Erica Shields at all going into this, get any advice from her, as you came along with her from Atlanta?
Yeah, so Chief Shields is an excellent, exceptional leader, and she has supported me throughout the many years of my professional career. Likewise, I have supported her. That's why when she tapped me on the shoulder to come to serve with her, I came. And I did a lot of sacrificing in that transition, but the reward has been great because now I still stand here. And so with that, she's a great leader. She is flourishing what she's doing today. And again, the advice and the conversations that we've had along the journey in law enforcement has been rewarding to both sides. And so I can stand here today and say that we're in a great position, and Chief Erica Shields still supports Jacqueline Gwen Villarwell.
Mayor, you did not name the finalists for this position. Can you give us an idea of who those people were? Were they from inside the department, outside the department? And did the DOJ findings, did they prove to be any sort of a hindrance in getting qualified applicants for this job?
Sure. Well, thanks for the question. We are not providing, the names of the finalists, as I mentioned, for lots of different reasons. We wanted to have the best possible candidates to choose from around the country. And based on the feedback that I got from the search firm and others that had conducted the search similar searches before, it was clear that the way to ensure that we had the best and most candidates and the most diverse pool of candidates broadly defined across the entire country was to go forth with the process that we did. And so I'm very comfortable with the quality of the individuals that we considered, in addition to Chief Gwen Villarwell. And what was the second part of your question?
Did the DOJ find
Oh, the DOJ, that's right. We asked very, very direct questions of every candidate that we interviewed about the DOJ findings, about what their reaction to the reading the report was, to ensure that they had read the report, which of the recommendations were they most focused on implementing, what were their ideas to implement some of the reforms. So we had robust dialogue with every candidate that we interviewed about that, and every one of the candidates knew, that was not a hindrance to them continuing it. They saw this as an opportunity to make meaningful reform and improvement. Hold on one second, Roberto. I went in very open-minded. I felt very strongly about the quality of person and professional that Chief Gwyn Billerowell is. Excuse me, at the beginning of the, I'm just going to grab this. I felt very confident about the quality of the individual that she is going in, but I certainly went in incredibly open-minded. That would have been unfair to the city and to every individual that was being considered for the position. We had 20 applicants for the position. We interviewed 4 of those individuals. And I think the furthest that I will go is to say these are individuals who were very interested in the position. They were, in many cases, individuals that were seeking to be the chief of a police department. We did have some chiefs of police department apply, and also others that had not yet had it, some that had been in an interim capacity before. And so really 2 of the main reasons why we decided to ensure, why we moved forward this way, is to ensure that we had the best candidates. Is one, because when you tell your boss that you're applying for a new job, that immediately changed your situation, your job security, your relationship with the community that you serve and your boss. And also for the individuals that are looking to become a chief of police in Louisville or in another city, as names are publicly released and you're passed over for positions, that inhibits your ability to get the next job. And so advice that we had was, if you truly want to get the best possible candidates, then this is the direction to go. And that's in large part one of the main reasons why we did that.
Mayor, when you were looking through those 20 applicants, those resumes, and going through those 4 different interviews, was there a moment in that whole process where you realized, okay, like honestly, Jacqueline Billerowell is the right person for the job?
I mean, there's no doubt that all the individuals knew that I'd stated publicly since the beginning that Chief Gwyn Billerowell was going to be a candidate for the position. And I think everyone that applied knew that there was a strong internal candidate. So yes, I mean, definitely I was considering candidates, also knowing what I knew about Jackie. And but I went in very open-minded with no predetermination of how this search would end. We interviewed very capable professionals who are serving their communities well, but for all the reasons I just stated, I believe I made the right decision, and Louisville has the right chief of police. Roberto?
Yeah. The touchstone of your whole campaign for mayor was moving Louisville, moving LPD in a new direction. Can you explain how you see this big moving us in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've already shown that. I think under Chief Gwyn Billerowell's leadership as interim chief, and with the work of her colleagues across the department and our entire administration, we have shown that. We asked the Department of Justice to release information that has never been released before when there was a consent decree about the incidents that were the factual basis behind the findings that they made. And there'll be more to come on that in the future. We worked to get a memorandum of understanding with the Office of Inspector General. And we're going to continue to work, as you've just seen even in recent weeks, that when there are challenges to implementing that, so the Office of Inspector General can get the information that they need, that we are going to be pushing that. And Chief Gwyn Billerowell was right there pushing for that to happen, to provide body cam access footage to the Office of Inspector General. We are releasing body cam footage on officer-involved incidents faster than has been done before. And candidly, I still think there's even more room for improvement. And so those are just a few of the things that have already happened and that we are both committed to continuing to do, along with the others who work hard every day to serve our community on LMPD.
Chief, what changes you?
If you're in the permanent position, there is something that you can implement pretty quickly that you weren't able to before you mentioned food policy.
Again, it's not anything that like out of the gate that I couldn't do before that now I'm able to do now.
So almost you felt more comfortable now that this is your department.
It's not, because again, I had the full support of the CEO of the city stating that move forward. And he expected for this department to move forward. So now my plans and my agenda would just continue to flourish with the funding that the council has so graciously have given LMPD. Again, with our recruitment and retention incentives that they've added more to our budget, moving the department forward with a true sound strategic plan that we should be able to develop and so forth, reassessing our divisions, how many officers we should have in each division to make sure that the citizens are getting the best service that they require and deserve. So, but there wasn't any stay. There wasn't any uncertainty whether or not I can continue to implement anything. And so we're just now going to continue to move forward with the mission and vision that's at hand.
Chief, on that same note, do you plan on keeping or changing the command staff or structure?
We're going to be doing some movement within the department, and some great movement, and some very rewarding movement within the department. So that will be disclosed a little bit later. But we'll have a great team over here, and those that are out there and still serving and answering the calls of service. And I just need to say this: I've gotten overwhelming support from inside of the department, which is wonderful. And my executive team and my command staff have been lockstep with me. They have been supportive, and there's no division in the ranks within my top leadership. And for that, I am grateful.
Three homicide arrests in a matter of days, was there just coincidence or was there something behind that success?
What was the question, Mark?
3 homicide arrests in 3 days?
Oh.
Was that just coincidence or was there?
Great work. Great work. But my guys are just out there working. The DNA lab that we're sending our evidence to, that we're actually able to get the evidence back now quicker. Solid investigations that the investigators are doing great work. And we are ensuring that we actually address those violent offenders that want to prey on the beautiful citizens of our great city. So that has been great work, and you're going to be seeing more.
We'll take a couple more questions, yeah.
Info on that the more information from the DOJ incidents will be soon. I believe the deadline is Tuesday of next week for the 60 days that Interim Chief gave us.
We expect to be having more information on that. I would say it's probably within 2 weeks, but it will. We are working as quickly as possible to get that out, and so it might be a couple more days than Tuesday, but it will be within 2 weeks.
Chief,
One more question.
Set this record straight on something. This is a very serious question. Your last name.
Oh.
And I've got one final thing after
Okay.
you do that.
So let me say this. My husband is not sensitive about it. Okay, so I just want to be clear on that. But it is pronounced Gwen Bilaterwell. So it's actually pronounced Gwen Bilaterwell. So if you get close to that, I'm okay with that. So I'm not offended. I'm not sensitive. I'm not sensitive about it at all. You can say Chief, Jackie, GV. It is what it is. I am okay because at the end of the day, I'm a servant of yours. So, but it's pronounced Gwen Bilaterwell.
I just want to say one final comment before we part. And I want to say something directly to individuals that might not have approved of the process that we went through to hire Chief Gwen Bilaterwell as Chief of LMPD. To those who have concerns about where LMPD is or where it might be headed, join us. We have over 250 vacant positions on LMPD right now that the council has provided funding to support and that we want to hire. We want to have a fully staffed LMPD so that we can provide more resources to our community, so that we can have more officers working with members of the clergy, small business owners, neighborhood leaders, formerly incarcerated individuals, others in every neighborhood, and that we can do more of the community policing that you heard our chief talk about. And we want an LMPD that reflects the community that we all serve. We want new people. You don't have to have law enforcement background. You don't have to have served in the military before. I just recently joined the new recruit class to take the POPs test with them just a few weeks ago. And the men and women who I met are from all different backgrounds, from all different walks of life. There were individuals who were working in retail. There was former educators, former social workers. We want people from all across the city with unique backgrounds and unique lived and professional experiences to be a part of LMPD today and for the future. So if you have concerns, if you want to serve your city in the most honorable of ways, join us. Apply to join LMPD because we want you to be a part of the solution. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.